Hey, Miss Gia's class. So to wrap up our science for this semester, I wanted to review something we talked about at the beginning of the semester, because last week we talked about materials for our chemistry unit, and this week we're going to review habitats, animal habitats, something that we talked about earlier this year, and I just want to make sure that you guys remember. Okay? So, a habitat is a natural environment that an animal lives in. It provides the animal three important things. So, a habitat is important because 1, it gives food for the animal. 2, it gives them shelter or a place to live where they are safe. And 3, it gives them a safe place to raise their young. So, in their habitat, they can find things to eat, they can find places to live, and they can find places to have their babies and make sure that their babies grow up safe. So those are the 3 important things animals need in their habitat. Like here, for example, we have this rabbit, and there's a nice place for the baby rabbits. Outside, there's food for them to eat, and there's this nice burrow they made. So the ground is soft enough that they can make a burrow underground. If the ground was hard or cold, it would be very difficult for them to make a burrow. And if there weren't any leaves to eat or any grass to eat, they wouldn't be able to survive because they would have no food. So food, shelter, and a safe place to raise their babies. Those are the 3 important things. Let's see if we can match the animals to their environment. We have a frog, a polar bear, a monkey, and a bird. So let's see, where in these 4 environments would you put the frog? In the nest, in the jungle, in the Arctic, or in a pond? Yeah, I think the frog definitely goes well with the pond. What about the polar bear? Does the polar bear live in the nest? Nah. In the jungle? Oh, it's too hot for the polar bear in the jungle, so I think they live in the Arctic. In the Arctic, where there is lots of ice. Yeah. Now we have the monkey. Does the monkey live in the nest? Or the jungle? Yeah, the jungle. Okay. And finally, we have our last option. This is a bird, and birds live in nests. Usually in the forest, right? The birds live in a nest in the forest. Okay, so let's talk about the habitat of a polar bear. What do they need in their habitat? What are some important things that polar bears need? Well, food. They eat seals, reindeer, fish. They need camouflage. What is camouflage? This word means, for example, we talked about chameleons and how chameleons can change the color of their skin to blend in with the background. This is camouflage. So it's when animals can hide themselves so it's hard to see them. Imagine a polar bear. A polar bear is white and all of this ice and snow is white. So a polar bear can hide very easily in the Arctic because its fur is white and all of the snow and ice is white. Imagine if a polar bear was trying to camouflage in the desert where everything is brown. It would be very difficult for a polar bear to camouflage there, right? And they need sea ice in their habitat, which means that they need these pieces of ice that are floating so that they can stand on them and look for food in the water. That means that polar bears are best suited to living in the Arctic Circle. Best suited means that their best choice or their best option is the Arctic Circle. What about birds? Birds need food like berries, worms, insects. They also need camouflage, so they're usually some dark color so they can hide in the leaves of the trees. And they need materials to build their nests, like twigs, leaves, Sometimes birds will use hair. They might also use feathers, string, anything they find on the ground. So they are best suited, or the best option is to live in places where there are plenty of trees, such as woods, gardens, and parks. What about a lion? So now we have a different animal. A lion needs water in their habitat because they usually live in places that are very hot. And so they need water to stay hydrated. They need prey. Prey is the food, the animals that they eat. Like they eat antelopes and zebras. And they need camouflage because they are hunting. And if the animal sees the lion, it's going to run away, right? It's not going to stay and say, "Hello, Mr. Lion." No. They need to camouflage themselves so they can sneak up to the animal and eat it. So that means that lions should live in places where there are plenty of zebras to eat and long grass to hide in, such as the plains of Africa. So do you think a lion would do good living here in the mountains? No. There are other kinds of cats that live in the mountains, like pumas, mountain lions, but they are different than this lion. It is not the same thing. How about a panda? Cute little pandas. What do they need? They need food and water to stay healthy and hydrated. And they get their food and water together from bamboo, because bamboo is made of water, but it also has some vitamins in it that the pandas get when they eat it. And sometimes pandas can eat other plants or even small things like mice or rats, but usually they just eat bamboo. They also need camouflage. So the camouflage, the white part helps it when it's living in places with snow, and the black part helps it if it's hiding in a place that has lots of trees and there is shadow. Remember, shadow is what we get if we have light and we see the black spot on the floor. That is shadow. So pandas should live where there is plenty of bamboo and places to hide. So they don't want to live like, for example, out here, are there many places to hide where lions live? Not really. There's some grass that the lions can hide in, but would a panda have places to hide out here in the African plain? No, it'd be very difficult for a panda to hide in Africa. Ooh, there we go, another fox. So what do foxes need? They need water because they need to stay hydrated. They also need prey, or the food they eat, like birds, mice, but they eat everything actually. They eat things like insects, earthworms, fruits, berries, and garbage that humans leave behind. So foxes, they'll eat almost anything. They are not picky eaters. And they need a den to live in. So usually, like a rabbit, a fox will make a den underground, maybe at the bottom of a tree. So they live in this little den. That means that foxes should live where there's plenty of water, prey, and somewhere for them to make a den, like a forest. There are foxes in the Arctic, for example. We have Arctic foxes, and there are foxes in the desert foxes. But they have different needs, right? So maybe they eat different prey. Maybe they make a different den. The fox that we're talking about right now is a woodland fox, which is the one that we see normally. That's a little orange and white. So this kind of fox, the best habitat is in a forest. Now us, like people, we can change our environments. We can build things to protect us. We use technology to make us either cool in the summer or hot in the winter. So it's different than animals because we can make our environment good for us. But animals cannot do this, right? Animals need a place that is perfect from day one. day one. But humans can change their habitats so that it's good for them. But this is also kind of dangerous, right? Because sometimes we change our environment and that hurts the animals that are already living in that environment. So sometimes, if we try to build where there is a forest, for example, we have to get rid of trees, and those trees might have birds with nests in it, or it might have a den of a fox or a rabbit under the tree. So it's not always good that humans make their own environments, right? We have to be careful and share our space with nature. All right, friends, that was our review of our habitats. I will see you on Friday for our last class of the semester. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday and a fun Thursday. See you Friday. Bye.